Hi, from Austin, Texas. I'm Carrie Olson, co-founder of the Austin Grand Prix. About 9 months ago, my brother and I started the first fan site bringing support for the Grand Prix that's coming to the United States in 2012. And over the course of the past 9 months, we've made some amazing connections. And one of the most amazing people that we've connected with via Twitter is Asif Kapadia, director of the Senna film, which premiered yesterday at the Paramount Theater. And it also won the Audience Award for World Documentary at Sundance back in January. So we're here today to talk about how we got connected and what Kevin and I are doing for the Austin Grand Prix, and also how social media is changing the face of Formula One. So I'd like to introduce Asif and Kevin Olson, and let's just chat.
Yeah.
So we connected probably back in January, and it was all on Twitter.
Yeah. No, it's been amazing, kind of the journey for Senna in the US, because originally there was this feeling that there was no audience for this film and nobody wanted to see it, and it very, very possibly would never have got a release here.
Right.
And so it was really the producer James K. Reese, who had a film in Sundance last year, who had the idea of trying to enter Senna to Sundance. And so we went along, and the idea was that we don't need anybody to spend a penny. The studio don't have to spend any money. I made my own way there. The festival helped out a little bit, and it was purely through social networking and Twitter and Facebook that we found out there was an audience, and that people started to contact us and saying, we really want to see this movie.
Right.
And people were flying from across the US to come and see the film. Somebody drove 900 miles to come and see the film, and nobody would have known about it unless they'd read about it somewhere on Twitter. And that was what was the fantastic kind of beginning of hopefully what's going to be a long journey.
And that's kind of how we found out about it. We read about the premiere that was going to happen at Sundance. I first read about it in November or December of last year, and I immediately started raising the question very publicly, how can we get this screened at South by Southwest? Knowing that Austin now is the future home of Formula One, South by draws a huge international crowd, and it was just so logical for your film to be screened here. So excited it turned out the way it did. But I think you've done something like very innovative, using social networking to talk about your movie, and you're growing it grassroots and you're growing it organically, and it's kind of where I see marketing. It's a new face of marketing, and it's totally working because people accept it, they understand it, they don't want to be pushed so hard on something and be told to like something. But if you start a conversation with someone and tell them about it, then they kind of latch on, and they're intrigued and they want to know more, just genuinely.
No, on this particular film, it's very, very interesting. Look, there are a lot of Senna fans all over the world. There are a lot of racing fans all over the world. And what's happened in our movie, it's really Manish Pandey and myself, the writer and exec producer, and myself have just set up Twitter accounts. I've never had one before. So I'm totally learning on the job. I had a Facebook account, but it's that whole thing, it still threw me. I'm already friends with you. Why do I have to be your friend officially? And then you realize, actually, I don't care if you're my friend or not. We never met. Just help us get the movie out there, And so forget the word friend. Let's just say, basically, it's kind of networking, isn't it? And once we got into that, then it became this whole thing where it became this beast almost, where it's just amazing. And within a few seconds, I'm speaking to somebody in Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia, somewhere in the US, somewhere in England, all of them saying, when's it coming out, when's it coming out? And I can just hand it back to them and say, look, you're in that country, why don't you contact Universal, find out what their plans are. And then they ring, by the morning they've got back and said, look, there are no plans. So I said, well, let's do something together. And that's exactly what happened. Yesterday we had a guy, Cohen, who was over from the Netherlands, and he just happened to be coming to South by Southwest for something else, and we were like, we've never met before, but he's now trying to organise the release in the Netherlands. You guys are helping us with the US, and so it's just amazing. And it's just I'm just a guy from North London, who makes films, and we're suddenly doing this kind of world thing. Guy from North London. That's how it can work, and it doesn't have to cost anybody a penny.
Exactly.
And that's the bottom line. Let's be honest. That's what it's about. If it doesn't cost people anything, then they're going to let you do it. We're not asking the studios or any other film companies to finance something. It's purely people have an interest and want to give something. And it's something about Ayrton Senna that the nature of him, people have all the way through our process of making a film, people have wanted to help. They contact us and say, how can I help? What can I do? And so we've been lucky enough in a way by connecting to tap into that idea.
One thing I find so interesting is, here we are, you would think in order for this film to work in America, in order for the buzz to really reach to audiences that have never followed Formula One, you would think it would have to come from a top-down media source, a print, news, radio, but it's the exact opposite of what's happening here. And maybe that's kind of you know, kind of foreshadows what's going to happen in the future with Formula One. It doesn't necessarily need to come from the top down. It needs to come from the ground because, you know, we've had Formula One at Indy, we've had Formula One at other races, but it's never really caught on as a strong sport in America. And, you know, football is you know, ingrained in the, you know, young Americans from the beginning. And maybe that's something, you know, that Formula One, as it, you know, penetrates into the lives of people in other ways, is really going to grow the sport. And that's something, you know, when we talk about our website, you know, we were trying to do, and your film is, you know, totally amazed me yesterday, the conversations after the film, you know. Oh, wow, you know, it wasn't just the racing, it was, here's a personality with soul, with a real drive that, you know, anybody can relate to, and it's just a remarkable story that a lot of people have never seen in sports, you know, since.
I think we've been lucky because we managed to make a film together with the producer James Manish and myself of something that seems to work for the Formula One fans and the big hardcore Senna fans who are, you know, they know their stuff. But also people who've never seen a race in their life, or people who have assumed all their life to have no interest in this. And that's been the thing. And it's actually kind of, because it's about a character, it's about a great guy who happens to be a racing driver. And hopefully that's spreading the word. And that's been working in the UK and working everywhere else. And hopefully that could be another way to get it out here. He's this amazing, passionate man who, you know, the story's quite thrilling, it's quite exciting, his journey, and people find it quite inspirational. And if people start looking at it in those different ways, hopefully that can spread the word on the sport.
In the film yesterday, I was so amazed by the depth of the footage, especially with Alain Prost. You know, there's, you know, a lot of people know of that relationship, but you've never seen. There's that one scene I love when he's coming out of the trailer, and you know, Ayrton's behind him, and Prost is walking down, and you just kind of freeze that look between them, and it's something you have never, you know, seen in publicity. But
or if you did see it, it was like 2 seconds, and you never caught it. But like, you guys did. You went through 15,000 hours of
I don't know who counted, you know. I mean, the problem with that kind of thing is it becomes a number that starts getting printed. I read about it today in the newspaper, and I'm like, look, I don't know who counted 50,000. It was a lot. It was many, many thousands of hours. Our computers, you know, most of the people who were setting up our Avids, our kind of post-production computers, they'd never come across so much material because it was just from everywhere, from all over the world, and we were just getting it all onto our systems, and they kept blowing up. It was a lot. It was a lot of material, and the big problem was getting it down to 100 minutes. But then we'd see these little moments like what you're talking about, where you just think, that's amazing, there's something there. And it's also when you project it onto the cinema screen. That's the other big thing, is we didn't want to make something that's for TV. You know, I think it works great on DVD, but I think the first time you see it on the cinema screen and you hear the sound and you really feel it like that, then it elevates it to being, you know, and also he becomes a movie star. He's got this amazing presence that isn't kind of, you know, your everyday sportsman. So that was important, I suppose.
Yeah, seeing Senna on a 20-foot screen, you know, just the detail, you know, the liveliness of his character is just pulled out on screen so well. I guess I want to talk about also kind of the future and how we can, you know, keep this film going, because, you know, there's another screening on Thursday at the Paramount at 7:15, and you know, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of our fans wondering how we're going to get this in, you know, Minneapolis, Denver, you know, everywhere else. But I guess what I'm wondering, what can we do, and let's set a goal. You know, how many people can we get to convince the studios to, you know, let's actually, you know, let's get it out there.
Okay, no, that's a really good question, because I think what we're trying to do is the guys at Cinetic from New York, who are kind of selling our film, have gone on board, and they are really confident now, because of Sundance, because of South by Southwest, that there's an audience there. So we're pretty happy, touch wood, that, you know, this film's going to be coming out. Now, how we do it is still kind of up for grabs, and which cities we go to. So we've got to show there's an audience for people, for this film in different cities, and where we go. And it's going to have to be specialized, a bit like what we've been doing. But what's interesting is, you know, the film and the way we're using kind of social kind of networking. People who are into Formula One are into technology anyway. That's a part of it. That's the nature of it. So the two of them work together. People are really interested in the details of kind of different engines, or different kind of, you know, what a team is doing that another team's not doing. And they need to know information. And so the information comes from the internet. So to kind of be doing that and to want to know about the movie, it all happens at the same time. And so that's why it's a perfect match. So we've just got to work out what are the key cities that we've got to get this film to. Where is that audience? And once we know, then we can use that information.
Yeah.
We can definitely help you with that. I mean, Kevin, the whole reason Kevin and I started the Austin Grand Prix was because we were trying to get as much information as possible, and it was out there, but it was very hard to find. And so we pulled it all together. We started the AustinGrandPrix.com. We have the largest Twitter following. We're on Facebook. We're connecting with people such as you and other, you know, Formula One fans, or even people in Austin who now, you know, their ears are, they're listening to they know that it's coming. And so, you know, we've had amazing success in the past 9 months, and we're grateful for all of it. But it's all been, I mean, it's been, you know, due to social networking and making connections, and Kevin and I are, you know, genuinely committed to growing this.
Right. So, I mean, obviously we should also put out Senna Movie is our kind of Twitter name and our Facebook site. So that's the other way people can get information. If they can just bring it all into one place, and then we can then help, you know, get the film out there. That's really what we got to do. So we can do that together, all together.
All together.
We'll probably try to focus on in the next, you know, next month, you know, starting that. Let's get, you know, Denver serious about it. You know, the other cities, Chicago. Get those cities, you know, get the people who are interested connected, establish that group, and let's get people, you know, liking it and talking about it.
I think what we've got to do is also try and get local people to help us set up special screenings. I think that's the real good way to get. So again, it can be a small group of people, but really passionate people who want to come along, see the movie, and then they can start talking to other people, and then word can spread. So it's really word of mouth. That's how we're going to get this movie out there. So that's the next stage for us to work on.
Yeah, that's fun. That's the fun part.
Yeah, that we enjoy that part.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
What else? Oh, yes. So we also have these materials from a fan. They're from Brazil, shortly after Artem passed away. And later on, we're going to have Asif autograph them and auction them off on our website later. And all the money we raise is going to be donated to Senna's foundation in Brazil. So we're just going to talk about that. A little plug for that. So that'll be on our website in the coming week.
Fantastic.
And yeah, we'll keep, you know, going out to the site. We delivered the first aerial photos of the track. Kevin goes out there and he films. He did a construction update, and you know, people are really it's amazing. People want to know what's going on. You know, people are interested. And the easiest way, you know, sometimes it's harder to approach a big formal entity and a big corporation, but like Kevin and I are doing this, and you know, we pride ourselves on being approachable and just all about the conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
We done?
We're good? All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Go to our
Thanks for
website,
watching.
theaustingrandprix.com.
Take care.